Welcome back, friends. We're going to do a little amateur gunsmithing here at the Goat Ranch. I thought I'd bring you along for the ride. Specifically, we're going to talk about some problems people have had after installing a Wolff spring kit in their larger frame Smith & Wesson revolvers. The one we have here is the model 686-6 357 Magnum. Really enjoy shooting this gun. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to start shooting a little competition with it in addition to my Walther semi-automatic, and so we're gonna have to slick some things up and see if we can make the trigger a little better. A lot of people just can't afford to purchase a gun and then send it out to a gunsmith and have him do an action and trigger job for $300 to $375. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, especially when you may have only spent $700 on the gun. And this is one way that a lot of us amateurs can go and for little or no money with some basic tools and some rudimentary, gunsmithing skills, can do some of this stuff on your own and really get some good results. But as usual, when you try to fix one thing, something else might go wrong on the other side, because you do one thing, it affects the other. And that's exactly what we have going on with this Wolff spring kit. Now, the one we're talking about today is the Type 2 Reduced Power Spring Kit. The part number is 17121, and in that kit you get a new mainspring and you get 3 different trigger return springs. You get a 13, a 14, and a 15 pounder. I'm not going to show you how to install that stuff because, number one, it's real easy to do, and number two, there are several good videos out there. But it's this little spring right here that you're changing, and then of course this is the mainspring. Now, to start with, my Smith shot pretty darn good. I've got I took my little Lyman gauge here. I've got a 10.8 pound trigger on this gun, and that's after a 5-pull average, and I shoot it pretty well in double action. I have no problems really with it whatsoever. But you can go and work on these things just a little bit, spend gobs of money like $18.95 for a spring kit, and bang bang, there you are shooting like Jerry Mitchell, just right out of the box, right? So that's what we're all thinking about. But we all like tinkering with our toys, and we also like improving them and customizing them just the way we want them to be. So with starting out with our benchmark of 10.8 pounds, we wanted to see if we could do anything better on that. So I went ahead and installed this kit. Here's our new mainspring, and we took it out to the range. And after we did, the first thing we did was some trigger pulls on it, and we went from 10.8 to 5.9. So for $18.95, I went from a 10.8 pound trigger to a 5.9. So life is good, right? Well, no, it's very seldom that easy, and that wasn't the case here either. So went out to the range thinking life is going to be great. We took 3 different types of ammo: Winchester white box and Remington, both 130 grain ammunition. We also took some Federal 158 grain ammunition. We wanted to see how that box ammo runs through this gun with this new spring kit. Loaded some up. Very first trigger pull, light primer strike. No bueno. So second round did go off. A couple more primer strikes. Then a round go off. Tried double action, single action. Did not matter. Changed ammo. Did not matter. It got to the point where it was 100% failure. Nothing was working. So I ran over to the bench, took the grips off, and the first thing I wanted to check was, do we have the mainspring in seated properly? And we did, right in this channel. Next thing I wanted to check is this mainspring tension spring, was it all the way in and fully seated? And it was. So that's really about all we can do at the range. So I decided to bring it home, get it up on the bench, opened up a Dr. Pepper, and started looking at things. Now, some of the internet gun experts and also a guy at the range told me, it has a Smith & Wesson, he says, hey, just take this 14 pound spring out right here, put the 15 pound spring right here, put it in there, and life will be good. And so that's kind of what I was thinking on the way home. But once I got it apart, sitting here sipping on my Dr. Pepper and starting to work this action, looking at how things are working, this really has not a whole lot of correlation with the tension on this hammer or how hard it hits that firing pin. At least I couldn't see it. So I said, no, I'm just going to leave that in there. I think I'm going to go a different route. So the next thing I did was, let's take out this mainspring and just see if I can see anything. See if there's something wrong that I haven't figured out or heard about. Now with this particular screw that goes in here, it bottoms out, so you really don't have any adjustments, kind of all the way in. I took our mainspring out. I grabbed our old mainspring, wanted to look at the differences. You can see the stock one is pretty much flat, has a little bit of curvature here at the end, and the Wolff spring has quite a bit more curvature to it, has a nice little kick down here at the bottom, so when you install it, it fits really nice in this channel. The other thing I noticed, it has this raised portion here on the backbone of the spring, the spine, whatever you want to call it, and that's from stamping this indentation, this channel, into the back of it. Now from what I understand, this is for added stiffness. Okay, I guess that sounds good. But the more I looked at it, and then I even got it under magnification, my little adjustment screw here, if you'll notice, it's kind of has a rounded nose on it, kind of like a bullet. And it sits right in this channel, and it fits right there. And I'm going, well, it looks like it's kind of down in the valley there. How much room am I losing there? And I took out my micrometer, and that is 38,000ths of an inch between the flat part of the spring and down in that channel where this screw resides. So if I had that 38,000ths, that might be all I need to get some positive primer strike. So how do I fix that? Well, do you want to go get a feeler gauge and cut it up and make some shims and kind of rig all that up? I said, surely there's another way to do that. And I searched around on the World Wide Webs and couldn't find anything as far as an extended length mainspring screw. If there's one out there, please let me know. And so I tried to figure out how else I could do that. Well, we'll just put a different spring in there. But how are we going to get one to fit? Well, went up to the hardware store, looked around. We got a pretty cool hardware store that has a massive amount of hardware and fasteners, and I was able to get a number 8 by 32 by 1/2 inch long set screw. Also, fortunately, they had it in stainless steel. So you're probably not going to find that at Menards or Home Depot or Lowe's, any of the big box places. You might find one that's not plated or that's not stainless, but you probably won't find a stainless one there. So I said, just let me have one of those things and let's see if this is going to help my problem at all. So let's see how it works. There we are. Now when you install your mainspring, put your thumb and your middle finger down here on the bottom so you can hold that mainspring in the middle of the frame before you start to tighten it up. You want it to be in the middle. Don't want it hitting your grips. And we just put a little tension on it. Now I mentioned before that I took some benchmark measurements when we started, and with my 5.9 pound trigger pull after installing this kit, I also took a measurement here. I wanted to see what the distance was, and I found a spot right here on this point. My mark is worn off, and it measured 0.56, and that gave me the 5.9 pound trigger pull. So that was my starting point. So I decided I was just going to start cranking this thing up. Cranked it up about, I don't know, about a half a turn, and I started taking some measurements. And here's what I came up with. At 0.078, that's this distance right here. You can measure it wherever you want. I just found that I could repeat this measurement time and time again. If I tried to put it somewhere else, I was on a different curve, different angle or something. But that's just where I chose. But at 0.78, I ended up with a 6.2 pound trigger. Cranked it up to 0.90, got 3.9, 100 thousandths, I got to 7.3. And I said, you know, I'm pretty sure it's going to shoot at that. So that's where I left it, at 100 thousandths, loaded up the ammo box, off to the range we go. And of course, it shot everything. It shot all 3 ammos, double action, single action, didn't matter. So after I made the rounds through all 3 manufacturers of the ammo, I started to back off this adjustment screw, quarter turn at a time. Then I would run through all the ammos again, and if it ran, I backed it off another quarter. Kept repeating that process until it quit firing. After it quit firing, I screwed it back in about a quarter turn, shot the ammos again to make sure it was still firing, then I brought it home. And we did our measurements again. And what I ended up with was a 5.15 pound trigger, and the measurement was 0.74. Great. So that's where we're going to start from now on to see how I like that trigger. I might like it a little lighter, I might like it a little heavier, we'll have to see. So when I get my measurement in here, and the reason that measurement is kind of important is because I need to remove this set screw. And we need to put some blue Loctite on there, put the set screw back in, and then I want to get my measurement right back to where I was at 0.74, which I seem to be having difficulty doing. Once I get it to 0.74, we're going to let it set up, you know, for several hours, probably overnight, and then we can go back out and shoot it. The good thing about using the blue Loctite is you'll be able to still make some adjustments. So even at the range, you can adjust this up or down to your liking, and the thread locker is still going to hold it in place. It's not going to vibrate out. So that's how I fixed my Wolff spring light primer problem for 41 cents up at the hardware store. So until next time, you guys be safe, keep that muzzle pointed downrange, and we'll see you down the road. Adios.